don't know if anyone talks about this or notices this. Kinger and Jax actually have weirdly similar coping mechanisms. Like, if you actually break it down, both Kinger and Jax are very avoidant. Kinger is avoidant through, I would say, very maladaptive daydreaming, kind of shown in the one glitch ad where Jax is putting mashed potatoes on Kinger's face and Kinger's like daydreaming about his wife. He seems so very lost in thought. He's engaging in escapism. He is straight up so deep into just being disconnected that he comes off as insane or crazy when he's in the light and stuff. And the only reason why he comes back down in the darkness is because he remembers a moment of clarity when he was with his wife before she abstracted. So it brings him back, it kind of grounds him, that memory. And it's the one thing he has control over. I think he words it in that way in episode 3. So Kinger is very like, he doesn't have control, but it's kind of better for him that way, whereas Jax does the exact same thing, but it's like slightly different, where he was abusing Kane's adventures and like the whole, well, none of this is real, so why not have some fun? Why not live it up? And like going on adventures, playing it like it's a game, like pretending that everything's, all these characters, all these archetypes, all this stuff. I'm the funny one. He like constructed such a false reality to the point where Kinger was actually talking lucid. It both effectively destroys the archetype that he sets for these people, on top of destroying the concept of this is a fake reality, you are a fake person. Because if this reality is real in any way to any degree, that means Jax has to face not only different things of the past, different feelings that he never fully got over and just kept shoving down and shoving aside and escaping through all the adventures, all the chaos, all of the fun. He not only has to face that reality, but now he has to face his actions and own up to the justifications that he made, and he has to confront what he did, because this is real. Kinger obviously understands that this is real, whereas, like, I don't think Kinger was trying to necessarily, like, deconstruct that this is real, whereas Jax was doing that. He was specifically continuously trying to gaslight himself into thinking that none of this is real, so none of this matters. I don't think that's not Kinger's mentality at all in that regard, but I find it interesting how both of their coping mechanisms boiled down to escapism and shoving aside their feelings to deal with later, which later never comes, mind you. I haven't really seen anyone else bring that up, where Kinger and Jax are very similar in that regard of like, and not to mention they both deal with loss, which I also think probably heavily influenced these coping mechanisms. They could not get over the losses that they encountered in the circus. For Kinger, I think losing Queenie was like the straw to break the camel's back. And then I think it's Ribbit with Jax. Ribbit and Jax were very obviously close. They had a connection. They had such a deep bond. The concept of Jax losing someone like that, and especially considering the idea that Jax typically has very hollow relationships or very surface level relationships, he really doesn't have any deep connections with people. But he doesn't really let himself have these connections as well, because he's very scared of getting hurt. He is so scared of emotional connection and intimacy because he has faced a loss before, or because he has faced, it's pretty obvious he has faced some level of being made fun of or bullying. He is horrified of letting those close to him see him at his worst or see him at his most vulnerable, because that hurts. He's very picky about who he lets himself get close to. The moment he realizes he's getting too close to Pomni, he stops himself. When you have such a deep connection and then something so detrimental happens, for Jax it was just straight up, Ribbit died. that's part of the reason why, like, people, like, when I was asking, like, what storyboard do you guys want me to do? People were like, do a Pomni and Jax storyboard. And I address it in the, like, just spammed storyboard ideas video that's, like, 47 minutes long. The last thing Jax is going to do is let himself be vulnerable. Especially after the whole peeled torment sequence. I can't see him doing it. So at most, I think we'll see slight, like, leaning into the idea that Jax might end up being more vulnerable, or kind of end up with an open-ended ending of, like, we don't get that answer if Jax starts on the path of redemption or not. Because quite frankly, but even then, like, Jax is not going to admit feeling vulnerable. Like, he's not going to compromise himself like that. Like, I have such a hard time seeing Jax actually be vulnerable, because I wouldn't do that. Like, if Jax is vulnerable, it would be in such a state of manic. Like, he'd have to be in such a state of manic, and, like, well, nothing matters anyways. Not to get off on a tangent about Jax, I'm sorry. This mother trucker, even if he's provided a space where he can be vulnerable and talk about stuff without any judgment or any, fear of being ridiculed, I do not think he would take advantage of that. I don't. The only thing that I think could maybe happen is, like, Jax, I wrote out in, like, explicit detail the idea of us getting a reverse, I'll just read it. Reverse situation where instead of Jax putting on his mask, we watch it slip off. He turns to face us, his pupils nearly filling every crevice of his eyes, a wide, toothy grin smile nearly touching the farthest corners of his eyes. It's unnatural, almost alien. He's struggling to keep on what shouldn't be, but is, an emotionless expression. A single tear in his eye forms. It takes everything in him to maintain his empty grin. Then the tear falls. More tears form and pour down his face rapidly. His pupils shrink down as his eyes form black lines beneath them, displaying his exhaustion. He hiccups breaths, growing in volume and frequency. His big smile forms to a whimpering frown before he falls to his knees, loudly sobbing. The only way I could see this happening is if there is a perceived loss. If there is a perceived moment where Jax loses only person in the circus he considers to be one of his closest friends. If he perceives that he loses Pomni. This is the only way I could see Jax actually dropping the mask, is if Pomni is gone. Or he thinks that. Because I don't know what else would emotionally shake up Jax so much other than that. Like, I genuinely have no idea what else would just really frick up Jax more than the idea that it is his reality that Pomni is gone. Whether that's through, he thinks Pomni falls into the void, he thinks Pomni dies, he thinks Pomni abstracted, whatever. And I like the concept that some sort of Pomni quote-unquote death would happen in front of everybody. So everybody gets to see it. That would just be a very interesting scenario to play out. I don't think an actual death would happen. Pomni quote-unquote death would have to happen in front of Jax, right? This would have to happen in front of Jax so he doesn't have time. Like, his first response is to just try and pretend that doesn't bother him, but he can't fake it, right? Because holy frick, I lost another friend. So that would literally have to happen in front of Jax. A perceived Pomni death. No one else technically has to be there. I just really like the concept of everyone seeing Jax's mask just completely fall off and him just fall to his knees and loudly sob. That's so good. That's so messily beautiful. That's so messily... Oh, it sickens me. I want to see that. It would really help put into perspective. It humanizes Jax for everybody, right? It makes everybody realize to a deeper level, oh frick, this guy is messed up, right? While also having to perceive, like, holy frick, Pomni's dead. Oh my gosh, that could be just straight up a good portion of the episode where Pomni has gone off in her own world. That could be the part where, like, you know how Pomni, like, opens that weirdly colorful intermission-looking time scene door? What if Pomni does just straight up go off on her own and she, like, has to make her way back to everybody? Meanwhile, the entire rest of the cast just has to get over and, like, work together to get over the Pomni loss. To clarify, I don't think that'd be, like, the entire episode. I think that would be maybe like, what, 20 to 30 minutes of the episode? Question mark? But that would be interesting if that's the, like, side plot that's happening. Oh, and that just, oh my gosh, Pomni loss would just bring back memories of Ribbit. That would just bring back, oh, frick. I became Icarus and flew too close to the sun, and I actually wanted to storyboard the Jax lets his mask fall off, whatever, man. So this is me coming in here to actually kind of talk through the storyboard segment. This specifically, I feel like I do need to talk through because of the way that I just picture it in my head, and I don't know how to make sense of it, and I don't know how accurate this would be to if this actually happened in the show. Jax and Pomni, maybe this would be like after a Jax and Pomni talk of some kind, or a Pomni and Jax interaction of some kind, where Pomni, not to pull a film theory, but Pomni embracing her role as Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm serious. Pomni embracing her role as Jesus Christ. This is such a weird thing to say. Essentially being a sacrifice of some kind. And just like Jesus, she's coming back. Holy frick. I'm sorry. I'm serious. Pomni would do a sacrificing type of action. She would come back, quite literally like Jesus Christ. So film theory may have it cooking there. Through this moment, it's kind of like she would be having, I don't know how Pomni would quote unquote die. I don't know if it'd be via abstraction or like, just trust me, bro, I got this, and it's a part of the plan, or Pomni gives up herself for something or other. I don't know. She becomes the third AI. I don't know. Pomni would essentially, quote-unquote, die. Jax would be there. He would literally watch this happen. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast is showing up, like, running to Jax and where Pomni was, and then kind of ask him, like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? And Jax is just staring where Pomni was, processing like, oh gosh. He's facing away from them. He would turn around and we see that eerie freaking smile that he has. And the cast members are like kind of taken aback by how eerie, because it's just creepy. And this is where Jax is like trying so hard to keep the mask on, right? Everyone else just starts pressing for information. And it's hitting Jax all at once. The concept of losing another friend, the concept of getting blamed, the concept of being the bad guy, the concept of just everything. And we watch as Jax's expression turns into a horrified, terrified, what have I done expression. His breaths are getting quicker, his eyes get smaller, he looks more visibly tired, distressed. He's starting to have tears form in his eyes before his legs finally give out and he just falls to the floor loudly sobbing. This takes the entire cast by surprise, as they not only have to deal with Jax's mask being completely off at this point, humanizing Jax, but also have to deal with the concept of what Jax is implying here, which is Pomni freaking died. There's a long, uncomfortable pause as we hear literally nothing but Jax's loud sobbing. On one hand, I really like the concept of Jax, like, barely coming out with any sentences like I'm sorry through sobs, but I also really like the idea that Jax is so emotionally out of whack that he literally can do nothing but sob. I think Kinger would be the first one to take that step towards Jax, and he would just sit by Jax. I don't think Kinger would, like, try and, like, hug Jax or whatever. I think he would just sit by Jax. Now, I picture Jax just quietly leaning on Kinger as a sort of silent surrender, but I don't storyboard it that way because my art skills suck. So instead, Jax just violently, like, falls onto Kinger and clings at him because that's where my skill level is, apparently. And then the rest of the cast members start following suit one by one. I think the next one, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it'd be Gangle. I feel like it'd be Gangle, then it'd be Ragatha, then it'd be Zubul. And, like, they're all kind of comforting Jax in that moment, and they're all kind of comforting each other in that moment. This would really re-hammer the point of the show where everyone has each other's backs. And it does kind of feed into the spoon theory, where you'll have to research that on your own. But the gist of it is everyone has long spoons, and they have to feed each other with these spoons. I kind of like the idea that this, like, really brings that point together and brings that humanity together. Because it's just a raw, like, pure raw emotion. It is a genuine moment between the cast members. Dude, this invites Kinger and Jax talk as well. Oh my gosh, Kinger and Jax talk. It would be right here. No, because this would be the most natural way to introduce that talk, because I would imagine they talk about, like, loss and dealing with a loss. So they both would... Oh, man. Oh, man. Giggling and kicking my feet. Oh, my gosh. Oh, but the way that this would also introduce, like, Kinger having to confront stuff very similarly to Jax. But that gives them, like, a chance to, like, have that bonding moment. Kinger and Jax have very similar coping mechanisms, very avoidant coping mechanisms. And a thing like this would really, really kick Jax and Kinger into facing a reality. So I really like the idea, but to do something like this, they would have each other, you know? Like, they'd be able to do that together. Please. Kinger and Jax argument can still happen, but they can make up and have a nice little bonding moment. Please. Please. And it would be very similar to the second Kinger and Jax talk that I had that I wrote specifically for episode 9. I think it'd be very similar to that, but it would definitely be more natural. It would be more naturally brought up because someone literally just died. And obviously Jax would just be distraught. He would not be doing okay. Several minutes of the cast just crying passes, and I think at this point Jax would maybe try and actually start to speak. It would be like through sobbing, through tears. He would just be like, I'm sorry. It wouldn't be that goofy. It wouldn't be that goofy. I just can't do the voice acting right now. But he would, like, blubber through tears and apology and, like, actually, like, I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't want this to happen. I didn't mean for Pomni to die. Kind of just, like, sputtering out apologies. And while I don't think the cast members would necessarily accept it, they would still be there to kind of, like, comfort Jax and comfort each other. What that quite looks like, I don't know. I honestly can't really picture it outside of being, like, another Kinger talk. It would be, the concept of everyone pep talking Jax and, like, comforting Jax is a very interesting concept that I do like. I think Kinger would be the one to, like, lead into that, though. Oh my gosh, the concept of Kinger, like, starting to lead into that, but then he just starts breaking down sobbing. Because he's like, God dang it, someone else died under my care. It's my fault. The storyboard's probably going to end here because I'm running out of time. There's just too much that I want to do, and I can't dedicate hours to this. The concept of the cast, like, being there to comfort Jax and show their support, and Jax just being like, why the frick are you guys so nice? Why are you nice to me? All I've done is bully you. All I've done is be such a hateful little piece of crap. Oh, and then them just being like, well, yeah. But kind of similar to, like, what Zubul tells Jax in episode 8, where it's like, we don't condone your actions and we don't necessarily forgive those actions, but you're still one of us. You're still important and your life matters and we care about you in that sense. It's kind of hard to avoid all of the things that you've done, all of the things that you've said, all of the bullying and the attitude that you've had, but I mean, it's kind of a not great situation that we've all been thrown into, and you're not doing terrible. Obviously, that doesn't mean we condone your actions, but we're still here for you. And I think just the idea of them all showing Jax support, even though, like, he doesn't deserve it. And I think that's kind of the clincher with this type of thing happening, is that Jax doesn't deserve it. Absolutely not. But that's no excuse to treat Jax like a piece of crap. I know the fandom is probably, I know that there's going to be some people that are going to come at me and be like, whoa, Whoa. It is not okay to condone Jax's actions. He's done some really crappy stuff. And I think even Jax himself understands that. Jax doesn't even want himself. People being like, Jax should kill himself. And then Jax being like, yeah, I agree. Like, Jax doesn't like himself any more than anyone else. Oh my gosh, Jax at this moment being at the most vulnerable and everyone confirming that his fears aren't true, that they wouldn't make fun of him and they would be there to Oh my gosh, Oh my gosh, the concept of Jax knowing he doesn't deserve it, of Jax being at his most vulnerable, and the circus members still bothering to show their support and show their care towards him, despite everything that he's done, despite the caricature he's made for himself. And then him having to deal with, you know, like Jax would genuinely have that moment of like, why are you guys being so nice to me? It's peak. Straight up, what better way, what better, like, near-ending thing to happen than for the antithesis. I learned how to say the word. What better way than the antithesis of the entire show be confronted with the message of the show? What better way for the message of the show to be conveyed through the characters towards the antithesis character in the show? Dude, it's so peak! Please let this happen. The concept of everyone showing up for Jax, not making fun of Jax, being there for Jax, and then Jax, like, barely conjuring up a thank you just because he's just a freaking blubbering mess. I don't know if that happened, but dude, something like this totally could happen. Do I think Pomni would come back right away from her quote-unquote death? No. In fact, I would be curious if this is actually a big part of the episode where Pomni has to kind of find her way back somehow or something from her purgatory. But I do also think it'd be really funny if she immediately came back, right? Because like, everyone has a blubbering mess and then she just walks up like, guys, I'm literally right here. Okay, but to add to this, quote-unquote Pomni death and Jax like having this emotional outburst really compromises Jax, because one, he's vulnerable, but two, he shows that he cares. He shows that he is much more than his archetype that he has tried so hard to set for himself. So like me just saying, oh yeah, Pomni death, that'd be so cool. It's not me just sputtering a bunch of nonsense. It's me saying like, one, this is how I think Jax would actually be able to show a human emotion. It's either that or like, Ribbit comes back and I don't, I think it would be more likely that, you know, Pomni death happens, Pomni quote unquote death, Jax is a witness to it, Jax can't handle that, has an emotional breakdown, then has to deal with the after effects of that reaction. Because, like, he can't just say, oh, I there was just some onions, that I just got some onion in my eye, that's all, it's no big deal. He'd literally have to admit that he cares, that he shows a human emotion, that they're human. Like, it once again breaks the archetypes down. It breaks his archetype specifically, especially. So I think like there is so much potential with Pomni death, and for various different reasons. That's why I'm so like, dude, this has to happen. Potential of Pomni quote unquote death, man. Oh my gosh, that opens some doors. Oh no. Okay, guys, prediction. Because I can't. Frick! Man! Pomni death happens early on. Pomni quote-unquote death. I don't think she'll actually die. Whether it's through a self-sacrificing action or not, I don't know. It would kind of... Oh my gosh. It would be insane if Jax was, like, coming against Kinger, but then Pomni gets in the way of that, and Jax is the one to push Pomni into the... Oh, no! Oh, no! Where Jax accidentally pushes Pomni instead of Kinger, and then that would introduce, oh my gosh, that would introduce the Ragatha and Jax argument that I would love to see, where that, like, rehashes, like, the idea that Jax was the one to cause Ribbit's abstraction, and then at this point, Jax, oh, the why does this keep happening? And then, oh, that would just... He would lose it, right? He would just imagination all over the place. And then the cast members have to deal with that. Pomni would make a comeback. Oh my gosh, the concept of later Pomni making a comeback at, like, Jax's, like, descent into madness with all of the crazy imagination stuff he's pulled, all of the coping mechanisms, all of Jax just firing every single possible coping mechanism he has left at his will, forcing everyone under the bus, including himself, for Pomni to come back and, like, be the one to drag him out of it. But then, like, at first he's like, no, you're not real. And, like, having to, like Jax is conjuring up a bunch of stuff. He's dealt with, like, he's already seen Ribbit, he's seen Kaufmo, he's conjured them up on accident, he's conjured up other people on accident. He doesn't even know who that person is, but he remembers having a bad experience with them. Pomni would come to him and be like, Jax, what is going on? But Jax would be like, thinking that she is a part of his imagination and she's not real. Jax would be just like, no, you're not real. None of this is real. And, like, he's really trying to hamper in that point. But Pomni is, like, denying that and, like, grabs him and is like, look, I'm real. And hugs him and all that jazz. And he's, like, has that, like, creepy grin. I picture him with that creepy grin. And as she, like, embraces him and is like, it's okay, Jax, I'm here. I didn't leave. I'm not dead. He has that moment where the mask just, like, starts cracking under that, like, wait, is this actually happening? And then before it falling off and then him just, like, melting into the hug and just allowing that to happen. Or Pomni and Jax hug being, like, before she dies, quote unquote dies. There is so much potential for different things that could happen in episode 9, and it's driving me up a wall. Does this mean I have to storyboard? This is gonna be a separate video. This is just gonna be a separate video. God dang it. I needed to ramble through my original thought of the storyboard though, but oh my gosh. I like the idea that, like, Jax just kind of imaginations his way into none of this is real and really, like, hammers that point, but then has to, oh shoot, but Pomni death would be the thing to, like, bring him back, wouldn't it? Oh man. Because seeing Ribbit and Kaufmo, the concept of him conjuring them up, that would just start the descent. Pomni death could start the descent as well. No, you wouldn't need that, because the circus being in shambles would be the thing to set Jax off and, like, start the descent into none of this is real, none of this matters. He's engaging in all the unhealthy coping mechanisms. He's somehow imaginationing his way through everything, and everyone has to suffer along with it. The concept of a Pomni death, fake or real, because, mind you, Jax wasn't even willing to shoot Pomni in episode 6. He was straight up did not want to attack Pomni. It didn't matter how much he convinced himself it was or wasn't real. He didn't want to hurt Pomni. So the concept of Pomni dying and that just freaking up Jax, because there is that, he just can't do that. And that, like, brings him out of it. Dude, I hate the idea that the cast members actually do it on purpose just to get Jax to snap out of it. They, like, fake a Pomni death. But I do like the idea of Jax accidentally killing Pomni, or, like, Pomni dying or something or other, and Jax has to, like, deal with that again. If it happens right away, we could have the Ragatha coming up against Jax and, like, being like, I can't believe you do this again, type of thing. Really hammering in the Ribbit point, which would get Jax to think about Ribbit and then conjure up Ribbit. Oh my goodness, there's so many pros and cons to, like, Pomni death happening and then happening sooner or later. But then the concept of, like, Pomni coming back and then Jax having to, like, justify his actions. It's not going to end on Jax being a good person. I will say that. It's going to end on an open note where it's implied, or, like, the start of a Jax redemption arc. We're not getting that. We're straight up not getting that on screen. But, oh my goodness, the concept of Jax falling to his knees, sobbing loudly, saying, I'm sorry. I wish I could do the voice acting. My stupid throat, my stupid nose. Okay, well, now that I've recorded for another 20 minutes, I don't know, man. I'm probably just gonna do a storyboard segment without acting. I might just put words on a screen, because I can't do it. I straight up can't do it. It's just gonna sound like crap. You guys could do it if you wanna have fun. I might do it at a later date when I'm actually functioning as a human being. I've been recording for 22 minutes. I gotta stop.